Okay, so this is my review of the new Hulu film Happiest Season. This is directed by Clea Duvall. It's also written by Clea Duvall and Mary Holland, who plays Jane in the film. So I have to start this review giving a shout out to my sister. She is somebody who has incredible foresight. When I send her a trailer, she knows right away and always calls it right if something's going to be good or not. And she sent me this trailer for Happiest Season. Was like, you need to review this. This is going to be a hit. And I was skeptical. I hadn't heard about it, but I decided to give it a shot. And once again, my sister has called it correctly. I was so impressed by this film. What makes it even more impressive is that this is only the second film Clea Duvall has directed and wrote, and this is the first screenplay that Mary Holland has written on. And why it is so amazing that with such a small resume in those categories to have such a strong script and such a funny script. Why this script works so well is it really just obeys old writing rules that if you just hit these things, your script should be decent at least. And it nails what you need to nail in the sense that it only takes 11 minutes for this film to get to the big twist, conflict reveal of what we're going to have as the simple basis here, that you have this lesbian couple of Harper and Abby going to Harper's house for Christmas, but Harper lets Abby know 11 minutes into this film that her family doesn't know she's out, and her family obviously doesn't know about the relationship. It's such a great concept for all the comedy to shine here just off of that. Once that's known, what's so effective about this film is it right then puts you in the shoes of Abby. You feel like you're with Abby along this whole ride. And Clea Duvall directs this really well too, because the camera work here, until we gain sympathy later on for Harper, we're constantly supposed to gain sympathy for Abby and relate to Abby, because she films Abby in a lot of close-up shots, medium shots, where a lot of times when we see Harper, until the end of the film, she's shot further away. We're supposed to distance from her because as the movie goes on, they're distancing from each other. And what makes the writing about this so effective, not just in setup and how quickly they get to the conflict here and keep everything moving, every scene in this film serves what the film is trying to say. And there's really two big things this film's really hitting on. It's really shown in Aubrey Plaza's line when she says to Kristen Stewart, "The thing I can relate to is being in love with someone who is afraid to show the world who they are." That's what this movie's showing you, is this type of relationship between Abby and Harper, and that Abby you're sympathizing with because you feel for her that Harper is keeping her hidden. But where it twists you is then we get Dan Levy's great monologue to Abby later on when he's talking about how it was easier situation for you to come out, but not everyone has that blessing where their family's totally understanding. And it gives you that lesson with the film about it's not even about you, your partner, not coming out right away or in a difficult situation of judgment like this. It's about them and what they also, you have to sympathize what they're going through. So the movie really shows you that it's important to be who you are and brave and come out with it, but it also shows you the effects on both partners and how if you're the one not in that situation, there's got to be some understanding there of how hard that situation that is. But on Harper's end, her to have to understand how that also affects your partner because you're trapping them and they feel completely distanced and closed off, which this film effectively shows, and how complicated relationship like this can get in this situation. And with writing, the best writing comes in when you're writing these characters' lives. You're in the middle of the most chaotic situation in their life, and if you were to look at a story of this relationship as their life goes on, this hands down would be the most chaotic when they first meet the family with this big secret and they're learning so much about each other, leading to great character growth with Harper and Abby, where Abby's character growth is serving the message of the film because she comes around to understand Harper's situation and be sympathetic, where Harper's character growth is that she finally comes around to being honest and being who she really is to her family and to not be afraid to share who she is in love with. So it checks off all the marks there thematically, and it really works so well. Now, when we're talking about comedy here, what impressed me so much is, to me, comedy has really struggled in films since early 2000s. I think it's mostly been horrible, and I haven't laughed at much stuff, but I don't remember the last time I laughed so much in a movie. And why I applaud the writing comedically for this film is that it doesn't let you go. It just keeps whipping out the jokes, and they're all landing. You see a problem with a lot of comedies now is they're not whipping out enough jokes, or they're whipping a lot of jokes out, and a lot of them aren't landing, and they're just leaving it there and not trying to make it better. This film has so much subtle humor that goes on. Even some of the jokes have multiple layers to it, and you have to catch little mannerisms and things they're hinting at. It's so well done, and it lets the performances shine. I think what was the most enjoyable thing about watching a movie like this, and is why you have to applaud Clea Duvall's directing, is that it's this big ensemble cast with all these big names, and you always get worried because a history of that with movies, especially Christmas ones, they usually fail. It's too many cooks, it doesn't work. But here, everyone gets a moment to shine. Every character gets a payoff, and you get so into one person's performance, you almost forget there's other people that are great in it too, and then you're like pleasantly surprised and excited. You're like, oh yeah, Alison Brie's here, and then, oh, Aubrey Plaza's here. So it like constantly keeps you on your toes that way, and it really is like the perfect balance to pull off having like a team of Avengers and actors, if that makes sense, to have such an ensemble. They usually fail, but this one did not. And to top off the accomplishment for this film for me is that my belief is that I truly believe we had not had a Christmas hit, one that will be a classic for future generations, and that every time you go through the Christmas movies to watch, you're going to put one on. We haven't had one since Elf, which was in 2003, people. It is 2020. That's 17 years later. I will say confidently this is our first Christmas hit since 2003 that will go into that class of, okay, put it on the Christmas movie shelf. This is rewatchable. It's a Christmas success, and that is so rare, and that needs to be applauded too. And what does it do so well also that will hook a lot of people into this is it's so timely, especially the humor. It's very accurate with how we are today, especially little things like the mom with the being obsessed with the Instagram account and using the iPad. Everything felt very in this time. And I love humor too with Dan Levy with the goldfish, and he flushes it down the toilet, and then when he calls her back, he's at the pet store. Just so good. Even the slapstick humor was gold here. In particular, the scene where Mary Holland has the case of wine bottles and picks it up and they all just spill. It was just striking comedy gold in almost every scene. And when I'm talking about subtle things, just little quick humor that they just add. It keeps going, like when they all go out to dinner in the beginning, first time Abby's with the family, and then they bring her out this small chair, and then Mackenzie Davis like, you sure it's okay? She's like, yeah. It's just hysterical visually seeing her sit in that chair with everybody. And being that this movie's about an hour 40 minutes, it times out well where you're getting, to me, an hour of like insanely funny comedy, and then you get the payoff thematically, and that's where it hits hard and everyone's gonna be crying, especially a scene when Harper's coming out, and it's so earned, but it gives you everything you need in a Christmas movie for it to be successful and what people are looking for in this type of film. And what I'm talking about is successfully gives even the side characters growth. They all follow, again, simple but timely, great writing rules of every character starts somewhere, but at the end of the film, they get somewhere else. There's character growth. It's one pole to another. And this comes in this final scene. It may wrap up really fast, and I think I could see the criticism there, but I think it's one of the only certain ways you can pull it off in the time frame of how long the movie is without it getting maybe dragged out, which I'd rather take not dragged out than kind of feeling a little rush at the end with certain characters, but again, because they're minor characters, so I don't feel cheated. And you get that with the parents, them coming around and how they raised their kids and what was wrong with it, and you get that with the sisters, and you even get it really funny how even Jane, my favorite character in this film, and I thought Mary Holland stole the show, when she gets her line, I don't have any secrets, but I'm an ally, was hysterical. But the point of her always feeling left out of everything and not taken seriously, it all hit. Even Sloane with Alison Brie, who really shows her range here. She was great. I didn't even know she could play this type of character so well. She absolutely crushes. But how she comes out in her own mini story about her divorce, so all their fear to their family and their parents realizing what they've done wrong in raising their kids and how they went about it. Now, my one gripe is that I do agree with, I saw a critic say in his writing that he thinks Aubrey Plaza and Kristen Stewart have way more chemistry than Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis. When I first now watched the film, I thought, oh, well, that's clear, and obviously that's purposeful for the first half, but then because she doesn't end up with Aubrey Plaza's character, I do feel like the moment where Harper comes crawling back for Abby and they end up together and you're like supposed to feel like really happy that Harper got her back, I was sitting there thinking, I wish Aubrey Plaza actually got Abby here. Yes, it doesn't make sense with the story and what the message is trying to say, but I think that comes with maybe a little error of Aubrey Plaza's character being a little too likable, because that kind of took away from trying to get us to really feel that feeling of having Harper get Abby back at the end there in that last sequence and then be excited she got her. I was kind of like, no, I think Abby and Aubrey Plaza's character Riley were actually the perfect match because their chemistry was off the charts. So if they knew their chemistry was going to be off the charts, there had to be something to make her a little less likable so that you were actually happy that Abby ended up with Harper instead of her. So that was kind of in the back of my head. So I think that kind of deterred the big moment there at the end, but that's a small gripe. But I really love how this all rounded out. I love how it comes full circle now that this film started where Abby wasn't even asked to be in the family photo to take the picture. And at the end, she's in the family photo. So for me, I'm giving this film a 9.5. And that, my friends, is like record for a Christmas movie. Again, I can't even imagine a Christmas movie since Elf that's near that rating. And again, that was in 2003. Let me know what you thought of this film down below. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on it. And please, if you love what I do here, I ask for a small $2 monthly donation. You'll see a PayPal link in my description. That will be able to give me the opportunity to be able to do this full time and make more videos for you guys. If you can subscribe to my channel, that helps in so many ways. And if you can follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter and Instagram, I will be forever grateful. And you can check out my new official website, www.stevevarley.com. And like I said, make sure to share your thoughts. I read every comment and try to respond as many as I can. And I'll see you next time.